Friends and classmates are in shock right now after two teenage sisters are murdered, police say, by their own father.
I'm definitely 100% sure that it was her dad who killed her.
Kathleen Wong and Zohair Zaidi say the father was Egyptian and critical of popular U.S. lifestyles. They say he was verbally abusive, and Sarah especially lived in fear.
She's always told me that she was always so scared of her dad. Like, even at school, if a teacher joking around, like, I'm going to tell your parents about this, she would, like, totally flip out on it. She was, like, start crying, like, please don't tell.
While Irving...
And what would possess a father to do something like this to his daughter?
Investigators believe that Noura Maliki may have been the victim of an honor killing.
When a young woman strays from what her family expects and she tries to stand up for what might be her legal rights, her family may react, retaliate by killing her or hurting her in order to avenge her misbehavior and clean its own honor, redeem itself in the face of the community.
Primarily occurring in parts of the Middle East, South Asia, and North Africa, cases of honor violence are now being found in Europe, Canada, and the United States. Experts have no handle on the exact number of cases, but worldwide the UN estimates that at least 5,000 women are murdered each year in the name of honor.
You know, you can talk to me.
Jasvinder Sangera works with survivors of forced marriages and honor crimes.
Nowhere in Islam, Sikhism, or Hinduism, in any of the major faiths, does it say this is acceptable. Honor is man-made. It's a oppressive cultural practice.
As for Falah Maliki, he was charged with first-degree murder in the death of his daughter Noor, one of the first honor killings in the United States to be prosecuted. Maliki chose not to testify, but his attorneys argued that it was all just an accident. He never meant to kill his daughter.
Never imagine how, you can just take the lives of the most two precious things you can have.
Tina, it's nice to have you here. Your story just grabbed my attention last week at this event, and I thought we've got to have you on so we can share this with a larger audience. Your trouble started with your parents at a young age, roughly 15 years old. Your mother was abusive to you, beating you after finding out that you had kissed a boy in school. Explain to all of us what happened with your family dynamic from that point forward.
The problem was that my parents actually didn't want me to adjust to the Austrian culture where I was living, because for them the culture was evil. Girls having sex before marriage, that was something that only the infidels do. This is what my father taught me. And I actually was promised to my cousin when I was a small baby, and with 16 I should marry him, and we went to holiday to Pakistan, and there they forced me to marry the cousin.
How were you able to escape and get away from the family that you loved but now have really no contact with?
That was actually after my conversion, and the courage that I had was from the new faith that I had, and I believe that you should decide on your own who you want to marry. And I had seen that in that my classmates decided which partner they wanted to choose, and I had seen this world, and I was not so Pakistani anymore, and so I decided, and I just ran away from home, and I'm living under police protection since 2006 in Germany.
People said, well, this is really an example of domestic violence, not honor killings. What's the difference?
Well, moderate Muslims, who these days are not very moderate at all, suggest that it is only domestic violence, which is bad enough. But the reality is that honor murders are in fact usually premeditated and plotted, and that means that it's not just an outburst of killing, it is something that is schemed. Often as well, by the way, with the buy-in of women in the family, because this is part and parcel of a cultural tradition called honor, which is a tribal tradition that emphasizes the family or the tribe or the community over the individual.
Is it cultural or is it religious?
Yeah, it's a great question, Soledad. And you know what? Muslims themselves often confuse culture with religion. This thing, honor killing, is not Islamic. I say this as a faithful Muslim. It is, however, a problem within Islam because of how Muslims often confuse culture and religion.
So it was Nargis. They had fallen in love after he had given her a ride in his taxi, and they were blissfully happy until she was found dead in a field, stabbed, shot, beaten and strangled. Then his wife received a phone call. It was urgent. Her mother was sick and dying. She had to rush to the bedside. It was a lie. Nargis's family disapproved of her marriage to a mere driver, and they were luring her into a trap. When Nargis didn't come home, her husband went back to driving a minibus to distract himself from the worry. His passengers saw photographs of his murdered family in the newspapers as he was driving. He didn't have a clue that the family they were telling him about was his. Hisham told me his wife had been killed because she had disgraced her rich family by marrying a poor man like him. He carries photocopies of her letters, over 70 of them, full of the desperation of forbidden love.
I love you very, 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 very much. I miss you. I miss you very much, all the night and day. Bye.
And he's talking to me, he says, because it's his only hope of getting his family's killers jailed.
मुझे अपना फिक्र नहीं है कि मुझे मार देंगे, बस सिर्फ मेरे बच्चों को कातिलों को सजा मिल जाए ताकि कोई और इस तरह ना हो मेरी तरह, जिस तरह मेरी जिंदगी बर्बाद हुई है, मेरे बच्चे, मेरी बीवी मारे गए.
Jonathan Rugman, Channel 4 News, Pakistan.
Tell us a little bit about this case. I mean, it's a case that is being described as one that involves something that's been known as honor killing. This is an average family here in Britain of Pakistani descent?
Yes, I mean, this is a family that Shafilia and her sisters grew up here. I believe Shafilia was born here, so they were very British, but the family was also very traditional in their sense. The parents had migrated from Pakistan. They did go home in the summers to see their family, and what appears to be the picture coming out from this trial was that Shafilia was being pressured more and more to stick to this traditional kind of lifestyle. Her parents didn't appear to approve of the kinds of clothes that she wore, and one of the key witnesses in this has been her sister, Alisha Ahmed, who talks about the pressure the family put on, also some of the violence. She claims that her parents were often violent with them because they didn't approve of them having boyfriends or wearing these Western clothes and so forth. But having said that, there's a lot of mixed testimony in this case, and this is what makes it so difficult. Alisha Ahmed claims that she saw both her parents murder her sister by suffocating her with a plastic bag. And then another sister denies that ever happened. And now the mother has changed her testimony, saying she saw something different that night. So it's going to be a very difficult case for the judge and the jury to figure out what exactly happened that night to Shafilia Ahmed.
The government's position is that it's doing what it
The
issue is not the laws only. Laws are important, but what is more important and should be parallel to the laws is empowerment, raising awareness about rights and practice. Because these are hundreds of years of customs and traditions and a prevalent culture that gave the man the right to be the master and she's the follower.
That ordinary people have the right and the responsibility to call it out where it exists.